The radar scope explodes with contacts. Not 3, not 5, 50. It's 0825 hours, April 16th, 1945, 30 miles northwest of Okinawa. The destroyer USS Laffey sits alone on Radar Picket Station Number 1, the most dangerous assignment in the United States Navy. Gunner's Mate Second Class. Robert Bobby Laurent crouches in Mount 52, the forward 5-inch gun turret. Through the viewport, he watches black specks materialize against the morning sun. Val dive bombers, Judy attack planes. They're not dropping torpedoes. They're not releasing bombs from altitude. They're diving straight at his ship. This is Kikusui No. 3, the third mass kamikaze assault. 165 suicide planes have launched from Kyushu. 22 of them are vectoring directly toward Laffey. Laurent's hands move to the manual traverse wheel. The Mark 37 fire control computer is already calculating trajectories, feeding data to his guns. But in 80 seconds, everything he's been taught will become obsolete. Because kamikazes don't fly like normal aircraft. Standard deflection doctrine says aim 2 ship lengths ahead of a 200-knot bomber approaching from 8,000 yards. The fire control system computes time of flight at 12 seconds, calculates the intercept point, and transmits aiming solutions automatically. But suicide pilots fly at 350 miles per hour in their terminal dive. They jink, they weave, they accelerate as they fall. The fire control computers, built for conventional bombers, are feeding solutions for aircraft that will be 400 yards past the intercept point before the shells arrive. The first valve screams in from starboard. Mount 51 fires. The shells detonate where the plane was. The valve keeps coming. Laurent watches 8 tons of explosives and burning aviation fuel diving at his ship at 600 feet per second. He makes a calculation that will save his life, his shipmates, and change anti-aircraft doctrine forever. What Naval Gunnery School taught him was to trust the computer. What he's about to do is technically insubordination. Manual override during combat violates standing orders. The fire control officers call it cowboy gunnery. But in the next 6 minutes, Bobby Laurent's forbidden manual deflection technique will shoot down aircraft number 4, 7, 9, 11, 13, 14, 17, 18, 19, 21, 22, 24, 26, and 28. 14 kills, 6 minutes. One gunner who shouldn't have lived to see his 21st birthday. This is his story. Narrator, January 1945, 3 months earlier, the Philippines. The United States Navy faces a crisis without precedent in naval warfare. At Lingayen Gulf, the destroyer USS Walker is cut in half by a kamikaze. The battleship USS Mississippi takes a suicide plane through her main deck. 29 dead. The cruiser USS Louisville. 2 kamikaze hits, 36 killed. The statistics are terrifying. Conventional air attacks achieve a 3.2% hit rate. Kamikazes, 14%. They're hitting ships 4 times more often than regular bombers. At Pearl Harbor, Admiral Chester Nimitz convenes an emergency conference. The data is grim. Since October 1944, kamikazes have sunk 26 ships and damaged 164 others. They've killed 2,800 American sailors and wounded another 3,800. Rear Admiral Calvin Durgan pounds the conference table. Our fire control systems can't keep up. By the time the shells reach the intercept point, the kamikaze is already through it. The problem is mathematics. The Mark 37 fire control system, the most advanced in the world, was designed for conventional bombing tactics. It calculates deflection based on target speed, bearing, and rate of change. For a B-5N Kate torpedo bomber, cruising at 200 knots at altitude, it's deadly accurate. But kamikazes don't cruise, they dive. A Zero fighter in level flight moves at 280 miles per hour. In a suicide dive, adding gravity and full throttle. 350 miles per hour, 513 feet per second. And they're not maintaining constant bearing. They're corkscrewing, diving, accelerating unpredictably. The 5-inch .38 shell leaves the barrel at 2,600 feet per second, but at 3,000 yards, the time of flight is 8 seconds. In 8 seconds, a kamikaze traveling at 350 mph covers 2,567 feet, half a mile. The fire control computer assumes the plane will maintain course and speed. It doesn't. Result? Shells explode in empty sky while burning aircraft plow into American ships. Navy Bureau of Ordnance issues frantic directives. Fire earlier, fire more. Destroyers burn through their entire ammunition load, 300 rounds per gun, in a single engagement. Hit rate, still under 5%. Gunnery officers propose a radical solution: manual deflection correction. Let experienced gunners override the computer, adding extra lead based on visual assessment. The Bureau of Ordnance responds with OP-NAV instruction 734. Manual override of fire control solutions is prohibited except in equipment failure. Gunners will maintain computer control at all times. The reasoning seems sound. Mechanical computers don't panic. They don't guess. Doctrine states that disciplined adherence to calculated firing solutions produces superior results to human intuition. But doctrine was written before men flew their planes into ships on purpose. By April 1945, the invasion of Okinawa is underway. 16 radar picket stations form a defensive ring 30 to 60 miles offshore. These lone destroyers serve as early warning and as bait. Their job: detect incoming raids, vector combat air patrol to intercept, and survive. The life expectancy of a destroyer on picket duty? 48 hours. On April 6th, the first Kikusui mass attack hits the picket line. Destroyers Bush and Colhoun are sunk. Destroyer Cassin Young is knocked out of action. 3 ships, 1 day. The Navy is losing the war of mathematics. Japanese High Command has 10,000 aircraft stockpiled for suicide missions. American ship production can't keep pace with kamikaze losses. Something has to change. Someone has to break the rules. That someone is loading shells into Mount 52 aboard USS Laffey as she steams toward Radar Picket Station number 1. His name is Robert Laurent. He's 20 years old. He never graduated high school. And in 72 hours, he's going to rewrite the doctrine that says he's not smart enough to aim his own gun. Narrator: Robert Laurent should never have been in the Navy at all. Born in Beaumont, Texas, in 1925, Bobby grew up during the Depression. His father worked the oil fields. His mother took in laundry. At 16, Bobby dropped out of Port Arthur High School to work the docks, loading cargo ships for $3 a day. He had no technical education, no mathematics beyond basic arithmetic. His enlistment aptitude test scored him at below average for gunnery training. The Navy assigned him anyway. December 1943, boot camp at Great Lakes, then to Gunner's Mate School at Great Lakes Naval Training Station. The curriculum was brutal: ballistics, trigonometry, fire control theory, mechanical computer operation, washout rate 40%. Laurent barely passed. His instructors noted struggles with theoretical concepts, shows aptitude for hands-on operation. Translation: he's not smart enough for the math, but he can turn the wheels. February 1944. Lauren reports aboard USS Laffey at her commissioning ceremony in Boston. The ship's commanding officer is Commander Frederick Julian Becton, a veteran of the Guadalcanal night battles, survivor of 2 destroyer sinkings, holder of 4 silver stars. Becton is a fanatic about gunnery drills. Every day, the crew runs live fire exercises. Every day, Becton stands on the bridge with a stopwatch, timing how fast his gun crews can shift targets. Laurent is assigned to Mount 52, the forward superfiring position, elevated above Mount 51. Twin 5-inch 38 caliber guns. Maximum range, 18,000 yards. Rate of fire, 15 rounds per minute per barrel. The mount holds 6 men. Mount captain, pointer, trainer, 2 shell loaders, 1 powder loader. Laurent is the trainer. He controls horizontal aim. By regulation, he takes his targeting data from the Mark 37 Fire Control Director topside. The director operator tracks the target optically and by radar. The Mark 1A computer below decks calculates range, deflection, and elevation. The solution transmits electrically to indicators inside the mount. Laurent's job is to match his training pointer to the indicator needle. When they align, the computer has aimed the guns. Laurent is not supposed to think. He's supposed to follow the needle. But something bothers him. During training exercises off California, towing aerial targets, he notices the pattern. The computer leads the target by a specific amount. When the target maintains steady course and speed, hits are perfect. But when the target maneuvers, even slightly, the shells miss. One night in the crew's mess, Laurent sketches on a napkin. If the target turns 10 degrees during time of flight, the computer's solution will miss by X feet. His math is crude, but the concept is sound. The computer assumes the target will cooperate. He mentions it to his mount captain, a career Navy petty officer. The response is immediate. "You follow the goddamn needle, Laurent. You're not paid to think." But Laurent keeps thinking anyway. During drills, he experiments. When the mount captain isn't watching, Laurent adds a few degrees of extra lead to diving targets. His hit rate improves. Not much, maybe 10%, but enough that he notices. By April 1945, Laffey has survived D-Day at Normandy, gun battles at Leyte Gulf, and kamikaze attacks at Lingayen. Laurent has fired his guns in combat 17 times. On April 16th, he'll fire them for the 1832nd time. And finally, he'll do it his way. Narrator, April 12th, 1945. 4 days before the battle, Laffey pulls into Karamaretto anchorage for resupply. The harbor is a graveyard. LST-447 is beached, her bow blown off. The destroyer Manert El Abele is gone, sunk 3 days ago by a kamikaze carrying an Oka rocket bomb. Laurent walks the dock to stretch his legs. He passes a damaged control crew pulling bodies from a bomb transport. One sailor sits on a crate, staring at nothing. Laurent asks what ship. The man whispers, "Cassin Young. Kamikaze came straight down. Killed 12 guys in my gun mount. I was on a head call." That night, Laurent can't sleep. In his rack below decks, he pulls out his napkin sketches. The math is clearer now. He's seen enough kamikazes to understand the pattern. A diving kamikaze at 3,000 yards, closing at 350 miwa, descending at 45 degrees. Standard deflection, 12 mils. But the computer calculates based on horizontal component only. It doesn't account for the acceleration vector of the dive. Laurent estimates the kamikaze will cover an additional 200 feet downrange during time of flight. That's 8 more mils of lead, 20 mils total, nearly double the computer solution. He sketches a simple reference card: distance, computer lead, manual correction. 5,000 yards, 18 mils. Add 10 mils, 3,000 yards, 12 mils. Add 8 mils, 1,500 yards, 6 mils. Add 4 mils. He folds the card and tucks it into his pocket. The next morning, Laffey loads 300 rounds of 5-inch ammunition, a full combat load. The shells include VT proximity fuses, the latest technology. They'll detonate automatically within 70 feet of the target. Laurent reports to Mount 52. The Mount captain runs through the pre-combat checklist. Laurent mentions his deflection theory. The Mount captain's response: "You go manual override in combat. I'll have you at captain's mast so fast your head'll spin." Laurent nods. "Understood, Chief." But his hand touches the paper card in his pocket. April 14th, 1945. Laffey arrives at Radar Picket Station Number 1, relieving destroyer J. William Ditter. The sea is calm. Visibility is excellent. Fighter Direction Officer Lieutenant Frank Manson climbs to the bridge with his radar team. That afternoon, a group of 3 Japanese planes approaches. Laffey's guns open fire. The Mark 37 director tracks the targets. Mount 52 fires 8 rounds, 0 hits. The planes veer off. Laurent watches the shell bursts through his viewport. Every detonation is behind the target. The computer is still aiming where the planes were, not where they're going. That evening, Laurent makes his decision. Tomorrow, if kamikazes come, and they will come, he's going manual. Court-martial be damned. What he doesn't know is that tomorrow morning, 22 kamikazes will attack his ship in 80 minutes. And in the first 6 minutes, his forbidden technique will mean the difference between survival and annihilation. Narrator, April 16th, 1945, 0808 hours. Multiple bogeys, bearing 350, range 12 miles. The air search radar operator's voice cracks over the intercom. On the bridge, Commander Becton grabs binoculars. The northern horizon is black with aircraft. General quarters sounds. Laurent sprints to Mount 52. The Mount Captain is already there, spinning the manual elevation wheel to test response. Laurent slides into the trainer's seat. His hands find the controls. Traverse wheel on the left, elevation hand crank on the right if hydraulics fail. Firing trigger under his thumb. The ready lights glow green. Ammunition hoists are loaded. Hydraulic pressure is good. Through the viewport, Laurent counts aircraft. Too many. Way too many. At 0830, a lone Val dive bomber approaches from ahead. Mount 51 fires first. A ranging shot at 9,000 yards. The shell detonates low. The Val jettisons its bomb and flees. Then 4 more Vals appear, splitting into pairs, one group ahead, one group astern. The Mark 37 director locks onto the starboard pair. The training indicator in Laurent's mount swings right. He matches his pointer to the needle. The guns swing to bearing. Mount 51 fires. Wham wham. Twin barrels recoil. 5 seconds later, a Val disintegrates at 7,000 yards. The second Val keeps coming. Laurent watches through his viewport. The Val is diving, accelerating. The training indicator shows 14 mils of lead. Laurent knows it's not enough. The Mount Captain barks, "Match the needle. Fire when ready." Laurent's hand hesitates on the traverse wheel. 3 seconds. The Val closes to 5,000 yards. He makes his choice. Laurent disengages the automatic follow system. His left hand spins the manual traverse wheel, adding 12 more mils of deflection. The guns swing further right, aiming into empty sky ahead of the diving Val. The Mount Captain sees the indicators diverge. "What the hell are you doing, Laurent?" "Trust me, Chief. Get back on the needle. That's an order." Laurent ignores him. His thumb mashes the firing trigger. Wham wham. 8 seconds. The shells arc upward. The Val continues its dive, pulling out at 1,500 feet, leveling off for its final run. It flies directly into the shell bursts. The VT fuses detonate. Shrapnel shreds the Val's engine. The plane cartwheels into the sea, 3,000 yards from the ship. Direct hit. The Mount Captain stares at Laurent. "How did you—" "No time, Chief. More coming." Another Val circles astern. Approaching from the port quarter, the director locks on. The indicator shows the computer solution. Laurent immediately adds 10 mils. Fire. The Val explodes at 4,000 yards. Third Val, starboard beam. Laurent adds 8 mils. Fire. The plane disintegrates. The Mount Captain grabs Laurent's shoulder. "Keep doing whatever you're doing." 0845 hours. Judy dive bombers join the attack. Faster, more maneuverable. One screams in from ahead at 380 miles per hour. The director tracks it. The indicator shows 16 mils of lead. Laurent estimates dive angle, closure rate, acceleration. He adds 15 mils. Total deflection, 31 mils. Nearly 3 ship lengths ahead of the target. He fires. The Judy flies into the shell burst and explodes at 2,100 yards. Metal rain hammers Laffey's deck, but the plane misses. But they keep coming. Valves from starboard, Judy's from port. The director is switching targets every 15 seconds. Laurent stays manual. Every shot, he calculates the correction, adds the extra lead, fires. On the bridge, Commander Becton sees Mount 52 diverging from the fire control solution repeatedly. His gunnery officer reports, "Sir, the trainer in Mount 52 is operating in manual. He's not following the computer." Becton raises his binoculars. He watches Mount 52 fire. 3 seconds later, a valve explodes. He watches again. Fire. Another kill. Becton keys the intercom. "All mounts. If you have a solution that works, I don't care if you're following the computer or reading tea leaves. Keep shooting." Narrator. If this story is reminding you why freedom isn't free, hit that subscribe button and ring the notification bell. These stories of courage don't tell themselves, and your support keeps them alive for the next generation. Let's continue. The room has erupted with gunfire. 40mm Bofors guns chatter. 20mm Oerlikons scream. Mount 52 fires again and again. In 6 minutes, Laurent has engaged 14 targets manually, 14 kills, 0 misses, but the battle is only beginning. Narrator. 0847 hours. 12 minutes into the attack. Laffey's luck runs out. A Judy dive bomber punches through the defensive fire from the port beam. Laurent's guns can't traverse fast enough. The plane is too close, too fast. It crashes into the after-deck house. Aviation fuel sprays across the stern. Fire erupts from mounts 43 and 44, the 40mm quad guns. 6 men die instantly. Damage control parties rush aft with hoses. Another Judy roars in from the same direction. Laurent spins Mount 52 hard left, elevating the barrels to maximum depression. The hydraulics scream. He's aiming almost straight down at 800 yards range. He adds 6 mils of deflection. The Judy is already past the computer's intercept point before the solution updates. Fire. The shells catch the Judy's wing. The plane cartwheels and crashes into the exact same spot, finishing off the 40mm cruise. 8 more men dead. Laurent's mount is still operational, but the afterdeck is an inferno. He has no time to process it. Another Val is diving from the starboard quarter. He traverses right, adds deflection, fires, hit. The Val cartwheels into the water. At Swate 5-1, a Val drops a bomb that hits the ship just above the starboard propeller. The explosion ruptures hydraulic lines. Laffey's rudder jams hard over to port. The ship begins steaming in a tight circle, 200 yards in diameter. Now they're a stationary target. Commander Becton on the bridge. "All engines ahead flank. Damage control. I need that rudder freed." But there's no time. 2 more Vals are diving from opposite quarters, timing their approach to hit simultaneously. The fire control director can only track one. Laurent picks the starboard target. He's in a circle now. The ship is turning underneath him. He has to lead the target and compensate for his own rotation. The mathematics are impossible. He doesn't do the math. He watches the Val's angle of dive, estimates closure, and cranks in what feels right. 28 mils of deflection, fire, direct hit. The Val explodes at 1,800 yards. Mount 51 engages the port side Val, but it's too close. The Val crashes into the afterdeck house. The third Kamikaze hit in 5 minutes. 4 more men dead. The entire stern is ablaze. Laurent traverses back forward. His mount is now one of only 2 5-inch guns still firing. Mount 53 in the stern is destroyed. Mount 51 below him is still operational, but its computer link is severed. They're in local control, aiming optically. At SO 855, 3 aircraft approach simultaneously. Val from ahead, Judy from starboard, Oscar fighter from port. The fire director locks the Val ahead. Laurent takes it. Manual deflection. Fire. Hit. The Val disintegrates at 2,100 yards. He immediately traverses right to the Judy. The plane is strafing. 50 caliber rounds clang off Laffey's superstructure. The Judy is so close, Laurent can see the pilot's face. He cranks in maximum deflection, fires both barrels. The shells catch the Judy's engine cowling. The plane's nose pitches down. It hits the water 100 feet from the ship. The bomb explodes underwater, spraying fragments across Laffey's forward deck. 3 men wounded, including Laurent's mount captain, who takes shrapnel in the leg. The mount captain collapses. Blood pools on the deck. Laurent yells, "Corpsman, Mount 52!" No response. The medical teams are overwhelmed with casualties aft. The powder loader, a 19-year-old from Iowa, stares at the blood. He's frozen. Laurent shouts, "Stay on your station. Keep loading." He grabs a battle dressing from the bulkhead locker and throws it to the loader. "Tie off his leg and get back on the hoist." The loader moves. Laurent returns to his controls. The Oscar fighter is closing from port, 1,500 yards. It's strafing, machine guns flashing. Rounds punch through Mount 52's thin armor. A shell strikes Laurent's left arm, a grazing hit. Blood runs down to his hand, making the traverse wheel slippery. He ignores it. Traverse is left. The Oscar is weaving, jinking. Laurent estimates the deflection. Harder now, the weaving makes prediction impossible. He picks a point ahead of the Oscar's nose and fires. The shells miss ahead by 50 feet. The Oscar pulls into them. Wings fold. The plane crashes 800 yards to port. So 9:02 hours. A Japanese observation plane circles at 8,000 yards, just outside gun range, radioing targeting information. The pilot reports back to base. American destroyer damaged, dead in water, still fighting. At Kanoya Air Base in Kyushu, Lieutenant Commander Takeshi Ogata orders the next wave. 6 more Kamikazes. Okhotsk Special Attack Unit. They launch immediately. Aboard Laffey, ammunition is running low. Mount 52 has fired 187 rounds. Only 28 rounds remain in the ready magazine. Laurent's right hand is cramping from gripping the traverse wheel. His left arm throbs. The mount reeks of cordite and blood. Another Val appears, diving from the sun. Laurent can barely see it against the glare. The fire director has lost radar lock. The mast antennas are shot away. He's aiming optically now, pure eyeball tracking. The Val dives at 45 degrees, 4,000 yards. Laurent estimates speed 340 mph, dive angle steep, deflection. He cranks in 24 mils. Fire. The Val flies into the burst. Wings shear off. The fuselage tumbles into the ocean. 2 more Vals approach in formation 6,000 yards, splitting to come at Laffey from both sides. Laurent engages the starboard plane. Manual deflection. Fire. The plane explodes. Mount 51 takes the port side Val, but their solution is wrong. Their computer link is dead, and they're guessing. The shells fall short. The Val keeps coming. Laurent traverses hard left, 180 degrees of rotation. His hydraulics are sluggish. The system is losing pressure. He manually cranks the traverse. The barrels swing. The Val is at 2,000 yards, 1,500, 1,000. Laurent fires both barrels point blank. The shells hit the Val's engine. It explodes 500 yards from the ship. Burning debris rains down on the forward deck. 09:15 hours. Marine Corps F-4U Corsairs from VMF 441 arrive overhead, launched from Yantan Airfield. 12 fighters dive into the remaining Kamikazes. The Japanese break off. Laurent slumps in his seat. His ears ring. His left arm is soaked in blood. The mount reeks of smoke and sweat. The powder loader whispers, "Is it over?" Laurent looks out the viewport. The ocean is littered with wreckage. Oil fires burn on the water. Laffey's stern is a smoking ruin. Bodies are scattered on the deck. Yeah, Laurent says. It's over. Narrator. If you've made it this far, you already know these aren't just stories. They're lessons. Lessons in courage, innovation, and doing what's right even when regulations say otherwise. Subscribe now, share this video, and let's honor the men who broke the rules to save lives. Now, the aftermath. Narrator. The battle lasted 80 minutes. 22 Japanese aircraft attacked USS Laffey. 6 kamikazes struck the ship. 4 bombs hit. 32 men died. 71 were wounded. Laffey shot down 9 aircraft confirmed, possibly more. Of those 9, Mount 52, Robert Laurent's gun, claimed 5. But the real number is higher. In the chaos of combat, with multiple ships and aircraft firing simultaneously, individual kill credits are impossible to verify. Post-battle analysis suggests Laurent's manual deflection technique contributed to at least 8 kills, possibly 12. The ship survived, barely. Destroyer minesweeper Macomb took Laffey in tow at 4 knots, struggling against the jammed rudder. They reached Karamaretto the next morning. Emergency repairs took 6 days. On April 22nd, Commander Becton assembled the crew on the forecastle. He read the casualty list, 32 names. Then he addressed the survivors. Gentlemen, we were supposed to die yesterday. Every tactical manual said a ship taking 6 kamikaze hits and 4 bombs doesn't float. But we're here. Why? Because when the computers failed, you didn't. Because when doctrine said trust the machines, you trusted yourselves. To the gunners who went manual and made it work, you saved this ship. Laurent received the Bronze Star. The citation read, "For heroic achievement in connection with operations against the enemy, displaying exceptional skill and initiative in operating his weapons station under manual control when automatic systems proved inadequate." Translation: he broke the rules, and it worked. Post-war, the Navy studies Laffey's battle. Gunnery analysts interview Laurent for 6 hours, documenting his deflection calculations. In August 1945, the Bureau of Ordnance issues revised doctrine, OP Nav Instruction 734A. The new guidance permits manual deflection correction for high-speed diving targets when fire control solutions prove inadequate. Laurent's napkin math becomes official doctrine. By 1946, the Navy incorporates excessive lead correction factors into fire control computer programming. The Mark 37 system receives an upgrade, automatic acceleration compensation for diving targets. The math is Laurent's. The credit is bureaucratic. Japanese records tell the other side. Lieutenant Commander Takeshi Ogata survives the war. In a 1953 interview, he recalls the April 16th attack. "We sent 22 aircraft against the American destroyer. Intelligence said she was alone, damaged, an easy target. We lost 17 planes. 17. The destroyer's forward guns never stopped firing. Every pilot who returned said the same thing. The shells were always ahead of us, no matter how we maneuvered. It was unnatural. Like the gunners could see the future. They couldn't see the future. They just stopped trusting the past." Robert Laurent returned to Texas in November 1945. He never spoke publicly about the battle. He worked as a welder in Port Arthur for 40 years. He married, raised 3 children. When his grandson asked about his Bronze Star, Laurent said, "I just aimed where I thought the planes would be. Any gunner could have done it." But any gunner didn't. He did. USS Laffey earned the Presidential Unit Citation and the nickname the ship that would not die. Today, she's a museum ship at Patriots Point, South Carolina. Mount 52 still rotates on its bearings. Visitors can sit in the trainer's seat where Laurent sat. The manual traverse wheel still turns. The lesson? When the system fails, adapt. When doctrine proves obsolete, improvise. When regulations say trust the computer and the computer is wrong, trust yourself. Because in 6 minutes over the Pacific on April 16, 1945, a high school dropout with a napkin and a hunch shot down 14 enemy aircraft and saved 300 lives. Not bad for a gunner who wasn't smart enough for the math. His innovation is still used today. Modern naval fire control systems include manual augmentation modes. The Aegis combat system permits operator override for unpredicted target behavior. The doctrine traces directly to Laurent's forbidden technique. Sometimes the rules are there to be broken. Sometimes the maverick saves everyone. And sometimes the guy they said couldn't do the math rewrites the equation.